Welcome back, NoDQ Galaxy, to a brand new edition of the NoDQ review number 291. I am Virtue, the moderator, being joined by this week's elite panel of the NoDQ review. No TJS, as he was feeling under the weather last minute. Anyway, we have Mike in the house. Big Baller G is back. The reliable one, Walter Cruz, and of course, Aaron Rift. What's going on? Mike, we'll start with you.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, you're back. Remember, you're like, oh, I'm never going to be coming back after that thing with Virtue about
not at all. Not at all. And in fact, I still don't want to see the match.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, what's up? What's going on?
Nada.
Well, stay tuned. I'll be back with you shortly. We got some topics to cover today. As always, Big G.
I'm doing good. Happy to be here as always. Got to watch some soccer today, the Euro Cup 2024. Other than that, let's get this ball rolling.
Okay. Stay tuned. Walter?
I'm doing well. Hell of a week in wrestling. At least two companies are on fire. But we'll get into that. So, yeah, I'm ready to go.
Well, I mean, you can consider AEW is on fire as well. Dumpster. All right, well, stay tuned. We'll be back with you shortly. Aaron, what's up?
It's been a busy week, an eventful week in wrestling, and I'm looking forward to discussing the shows this week, summer of 2024. I'm hyped for it. I think we're going to have some great segments coming up in the next couple months as we get into SummerSlam and Bash in Berlin, and hopefully they continue the momentum moving forward. I'm very much excited about what's to come. So anyways, let's go ahead and get this one started. Oh, wait, before we get started, I forgot. Mr. Tito sent in a $2 super chat. One of you is going to have to sing this. I'm not sure how it even goes. I do want to say this. He says he believes in Joe Hendry. Well, he's an Impact Wrestling guy.
I believe in Joe Hendry.
Joe Hendry. There you go.
This might be an unpopular opinion, but he gives me flavor of the month vibes. Just saying.
Here's the thing with him. I don't like that name. That name does not pop for me. Roman Reigns versus Joe Hendry. I don't know, but we'll see. I'll give him a chance at some point. I always give everybody a chance.
Right. I think Joe Hennig ruined Joe for everybody in wrestling, except Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe did well. You just can't have too many Joes. You gotta keep.
Roman Reigns' real name is Joe, man.
Exactly, yeah. But that's not his wrestling name.
Shanti is cooler than you. Sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Shanti says, "Aloha from Hawaii. Here, no DQ. While the Hawaii Zoo. While at the Honolulu Zoo. Nice. I've been to that zoo. Good zoo. Shout out to Shanti. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it.
We ready to start?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it.
All right, we were just going to have a couple topics because we were going to have a 6-person panel, but I threw another topic in since TJS dropped, and let's talk about Jacob Fatu joining the Bloodline. This Bloodline is getting bigger. We know Mike does not want to see Roman and The Rock. He does not want Rock to touch that title. He doesn't want to lose a bet. But let's talk about Jacob Fatu, and at least these people getting hired by WWE put in a big spot. We can thank Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, and The Rock for all of this, for these guys getting the spotlight. This could be brief, but I'll start with you, Mike. Let's go ahead. Let's see. If you don't like it, that's cool. Because I'm interested in your take with this kind of new Bloodline temporary thing while we're waiting for the big stars to come back. I don't know if it's growing on you or not, but go have at it.
Oh, Jacob Fatu joining, absolutely double thumbs up, amazing. His character is believable. I mean, hell, in real life, he's had some skirmishes. You run into Jacob Fatu in a dark alley, you're probably looking to get out of there in a hurry. He's believable. He's scary. He actually dropped some weight. He looked amazing not last night, 2 nights ago. And, the splash from the top rope, amazing. Like he, obviously he's been in the business a while, but, first time here with WWE. I actually love the angle. And If Rock comes back as a face and Roman kind of leads the way as a heel, then I'll be real happy. I know that's not going to happen, but what they're doing right here with Fatu, I think is amazing.
Now, I saw somebody, I know he's been on panels before, Matthew, Leonard Hofstadter's brother. He just said, and with all due respect to Jacob Fatu and his potential, Roman Reigns is a generational talent. The last 4-5 years proved it. Even if nobody wanted to believe me before then, like Tito, that's fine. He had to get Heyman with him to reveal his true charisma. Nobody, at least right now in that group, is going to be Roman Reigns. Sorry, and prove me wrong, but I'm willing to go on that die with that one. What do you think, Big G?
I thought the angle was well done. I haven't really personally seen anything of Jacob Fatu, like wrestling wise, any of his matches, but I've heard good things about him. And I mean, man looked like a beast. He's the Samoan werewolf. I think his shirt is like the #2 seller on WWE Shop already in the past couple of days. So that kind of tells you something a little bit.
Whose shirt?
Jacob Fatu's shirt.
What do you think Roman's next shirt as a babyface is going to do? You think that'll hit #1?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. But I'm liking where this is leading. Some people aren't liking this bootleg, Bloodline 2.0, but I like it so far because I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen when Roman comes back. I'm loving Paul Heyman's reactions to everything from Solo Sikoa to this past weekend on SmackDown, with him asking Punk to take him with him because he misses his tribal chief. And every time the fans are chanting, "We want Roman," you can tell, the emotion that Paul Heyman has, because he's got deep ties with the Anoa'i family. And I'm intrigued with it. I'm really intrigued. I want to see, this version of the Bloodline versus the OG Bloodline at Survivor Series and War Games. So I'm digging this stuff. And if people don't like it, turn the damn channel.
Yeah, and Big G, I got to explain. When you're a generational talent, you're born that way. You might not reveal it right away because you need to have handcuffs off. You need to have handcuffs off.
Yeah.
Right? You can't be that company man 2.0. Roman was always a general. It was in his blood to become this great. And he didn't
it took him a while. Yeah. It took him a while to click.
Yeah, and that's a thing. I mean, because he had it when nobody liked him during that first 4 years or so. He had moments, especially the one after he beat The Undertaker, because he stopped the show and had Mark standing up, responding to him. Yeah. And that's when I jumped on the bandwagon really heavy and defended him to no end. And look, I ended up being right. Yeah, sure, it took Paul Heyman, but say Paul Heyman wasn't there, any heel turn, as a wrestler, and this is what with the Bloodline right now, the current Bloodline, they're all heels. And that does make it a little bit easier to try to make a name for yourself, because especially if you're booked right, like Jacob Fatu being able to destroy Cody Rhodes. And now his shirt jumps up the charts. You know what I mean? So it takes good booking too for these guys, but being a heel does help a little bit for sure.
It's not just Heyman though. Go back to when he said, "I'm in remission, y'all." And look at the reaction the crowd gave him. He got some a little bit like he was getting himself over.
Vince McMahon's original vision of Roman had the issue right with the fans, and Roman clearly wasn't that comfortable level doing that like he ended up being as the heel. So we can also say, yeah, Vince, you were kind of holding your guy back, but yet he ended up still allowing him to have that run, and look where we are now. We want to see him back. We want Roman. Big G, anything else about Jacob Fatu? I'll pass it to Walter.
No, I'm good.
Okay, Walter.
I'm thinking it was done very well. The moment that Solo went down and begged off, I was like, some shit is going down. Something's going. Like the way the camera panned and cut half the ring off, I knew something was going down. I was like, something's going down. Then they panned over, and it was Jacob. And I'm just glad that they get the, like G said last night, I'm glad they get to keep their wrestling name. Like WWE doesn't have to put what they want on it and change their names to try to market them. Like they get to keep what they were known before this. so that the fans on the outside come in watching and they tackle them, which is smart of WWE, because any fans of MLW or New Japan or any other league that follows these people now see them in WWE, and they get to keep associating the same name with them. If they didn't change their name, they didn't do anything. And yeah, that dude looks huge. Like you said, a dark alley. I wouldn't want to run into that guy in any like during the day either. Like damn that. And Cody has to learn, you don't hit a Samoan in the head. Like, I don't know why he was punching him in the head. Do not punch a Samoan in the head. You don't tug on Superman's cape, and you don't headbutt a Samoan, or you don't anywhere in the head. So I don't know what Cody was thinking, but I'm glad because it put some juice into Cody's reign now. Now that he has to take the bloodline again. Everybody's behind Cody because of the bloodline originally in the story. Then as they say he won the title, it got a little boring, and look, the bloodline's doing it again, and now people are interested in Cody again. So,
and Walter, I remember we talked in the last couple of weeks about this bloodline growing, and the more that this bloodline version of it is growing, the more and more I am feeling confident on the eventual big Rock reveal is claiming the head of the table. Solo is what they want you to believe right now, but let's be realistic. That's just going to buy some time, and it's going to give me a better opportunity to say, haha, Mike. Hey, I don't remember what our bet. I don't remember what our bet was, and you know, even if he doesn't get the title and I lose the bet to Mike, I'm still going to get what I want in the end, Rock and Roman. So I'm loving this. It's just the slow burn, which I'm cool with. I just wish I could fast forward to it, so my interest, like I have to watch everything live again instead of waiting for clips. But this was one of those instances. I decided, to watch SmackDown instead of a little bit later. I watched it live. And it was a good SmackDown because why? Raw was a good Raw, and it makes me want to watch the next show, right, Aaron?
Yep.
Okay, Aaron, over to you.
All right. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $5 super chat. Big G, I'm definitely going to need your help on this one.
I'm going to read it in German, and then I'll translate it for you. Ich werde dich nie aufgeben. Ich werde dich nie im Stich lassen. Ich werde nie herumlaufen und dich im Stich lassen. Basically, I think it's song lyrics. I'll never give up on you. I'll never let you down. I'll never walk around and let you down. So I don't know if those
you got rickrolled.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was never going to give you up when you started talking.
He got rickrolled. That's what happened right there. Okay.
Aha. Big G got rickrolled. I guess we all got rickrolled. All right. Thank you for that, Psycho Jet Black. And Lee Samples sent in a $5 super chat. Says, do you think when Roman returns, he will recruit Seth Rollins at some point in the Bloodline story? I haven't seen anybody talk about that as a possibility. Everyone's thinking like Sami Zayn or, maybe Kevin Owens, even though Kevin Owens hated the Bloodline. Could he potentially work with them? Big G?
I mean, me and Walter were talking about this last night with the guys. So if Hikuleo debuts...
brought it up.
Yeah, if Hikuleo debuts with the other Bloodline, with the Bloodline 2.0, you can have Roman, Jimmy, Jay, Sammy, and possibly Seth.
I would not be surprised, Big G, if Nia Jax wins the title. She is on the Rock's version of the Bloodline because they're related, right?
Yeah.
It would not be, but then again, you probably would have to have another female, so I don't know how that would work. But she's beaten up the guys before.
And then you have Naomi, and then you have Naomi join.
Yeah, she could go over. Yeah, there you go. All right, Aaron.
All right. So as far as Jacob Fatu goes, it's going to be hard to come even close to Roman Reigns' level of greatness. But if Jacob Fatu can even get halfway there, he's going to be a major star in WWE. And I will say this: in one night, I thought he looked better than both Tongas. Both Tongas, to me, like they're good wrestlers, but they really don't stand out at all. Jacob Fatu, like that guy has a lot of personality and energy. I feel like he has a real shot at becoming a major star in WWE. And I think he's definitely a shot in the arm that this new bloodline needed to have some real credibility. He could end up being the breakout star of this new bloodline. I will say that much. Roman Reigns will probably go through Solo Sikoa fairly easily, like Virtue said. And then maybe we'll get The Rock in time for WrestleMania. Somebody had asked me about Rock versus Roman on one night and Rock versus Cody on another night, which is the scenario we talked about for WrestleMania 40. We'll see if that happens at 41. I'm still wondering how that's all going to play out. But I agree with Virtue. We need Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 41. Like, that match has to happen, and you can't just keep putting it off. So hopefully this is all setting up for the return of Roman Reigns and then setting up the eventual Roman Reigns versus Rock match at WrestleMania.
Okay, so let's want to get that out of the way. Are we all caught up? We can move on to one of our 2 original topics.
Let's do it.
The Wyatt Sicks. But there's 5 of them, but Bray could be the 6th, the spirit of Bray Wyatt. You have Eric Rowan returning. Obviously, he's one of them. I don't remember who's what character right now because it's just debuted, and I haven't let it sink in yet. We know Bo Dallas is Uncle Howdy, Nikki Cross, Dexter Loomis, and Joe Gacy. They ended Raw in a very Bray Wyatt-like cinematic fashion, making it look like a murder scene. Tito wrote a column about it. How do you make this work going forward? Russo's already on the case. Like, man, if this turns into, hey, these guys go out and start having wrestling matches, it's over. And I agree with Russo there because it needs to be more than that for this. Now, we do need wrestling. That's the one thing that hurt Bray Wyatt when he returned. And maybe because of injuries and health, but he just didn't have, and you don't have to have that match like the AEW fans want, but you still have to have what is a compelling match, like what Bray had with John Cena at WrestleMania, something like that. What does everybody think here with this group, and how does it preserve to be interesting going forward? Because now, what's next? More cinematic stuff, or does it turn into wrestling and booking 50-50 matches? Go ahead, Walter. I'll start with you. The spirit of Bray lives on, though. He's the
in terms of wrestling matches, I think you're okay as long as you don't do Snicker submission matches and Mountain Dew mountain matches, stupid stuff like that, where it's all just sponsor gimmick things that that the match was only booked to really sell a product, like Mountain Dew matches and, like I said, Snicker submissions. That's not a real match. I'm just saying. But like, if you can avoid that, you got to do a mixture of both cinematic and matches. But I'm just a little worried. I'm gonna give it a chance and digest it and let it grow on me. But it's just I'm a little worried that the sequel won't live up to the original. So as long as they can do it, I'm okay. I'll be optimistic, but I'm just a little nervous. I got to see the follow-up because they can have a hell of a debut and then they drop the ball with them.
Yep.
Like you said, they did with Bryant. But I'm optimistic. I'm going to give it the chance. I just hope they don't drop the ball. But they can go many places. The 6th person could be an actual – Alexa Bliss can come back and be the actual Sister Abigail. Like, we don't know where they're going, but it hurts it a little. Like I was saying last night, it hurt it a little that all of a sudden they can clear Chad Gable. It was like this dude looked like everybody was saying it. He looked like he got shot in the head, and all of a sudden he can be cleared. They should have just he should have sold it. Like we talked off air about Cody selling the Bloodline stuff, but like sell it a little. Like how can he be cleared so quick? Unless it's some kind of weird glitch and he's not gonna be cleared. But as long as they do it, I can see them interfering. Do it across brands. As long as they're not brand specific and only doing Raw, like they should be able to invade SmackDown, invade Raw, invade NXT if they want. And they're already doing stuff with Pat McAfee's show. You saw what they did to Pat McAfee. So as long as they don't keep adding, leave it at you called it the Wyatt Sicks. It's the same thing with Bray. What the Bloodline has to be careful with. Don't fall into the NWO syndrome and start adding so much stuff that it gets watered down. Leave it. Maybe the 6 that I said, maybe the Alexa Bliss thing or the Wyatt Spirit, which you said Virtue, but
the lantern, if they carry Uncle Howdy carries the lantern around.
Yeah, so, but they got to win these matches. If you're gonna book them, they got to all win. They need some strong undefeated streaks. Like, don't be all of a sudden 3rd match in and one of them loses already, or like a rambling rabbit Royal Rumble. Don't do stupid shit like that just to do alliteration. That's what I'm a little afraid of. Let them be the monsters they're supposed to do. And then JJ brought it up, and I'm curious too. Like, we all know who they are. So are they going to wrestle with mask on or underneath? Like, it's just curious to see what they do. So I'll be optimistic and see what they do.
If they wrestle with masks on, it's got to be lucha masks because you can't wrestle in those big ones. Or something like how Bray had for The Fiend. But, okay, Big G, remember when we had the Shield and the original Wyatts and there was electricity?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what other group, because the Bloodline and Bloodline are doing their thing. Maybe way down the road, you could have whatever Bloodline comes out of all of this, Roman's Bloodline. There could be a cool thing maybe later if they build the Wyatt Sicks up properly. I don't know Judgment Day, because they're having their own problems. You think we can get a moment like we did with Shield and the original Wyatts? That's what I would like out of all of this. But
depending on, to answer your question, depending on who they're feuding against with, if it's a faction.
That's what I'm saying. It'd have to be somebody.
It could maybe once the Judgment Day gets back together, like fully. But going to their debut, I absolutely loved it. Once I saw like the lights go off and you heard Bray's music, that piano key, I got goosebumps. And then I talked about it last night too, and I've been talking about it all week. Even my wife liked it, and she watches wrestling occasionally with me, and she enjoyed it. But just the camera angles, I felt like I was going through a haunted house. I legit thought I was in a haunted house with the way they were shooting and going through, and seeing Ramblin' Rabbit and Mercy and Huskus and Uncle Howdy. And then them all coming out and saying, Bo or Uncle Howdy saying we're here. And the spirit of Bray Wyatt is going to be the sixth member. I don't think Alexa Bliss needs to, when she comes back, I don't think she needs to be part of it. Same with Braun Strowman. Braun's doing his own thing. He doesn't need a part of it. But from where they're going to go from here, kind of like how the Wyatts did when they first debuted. They didn't really wrestle up until SummerSlam. They attacked Kane, and then they had Joker stop it. Joker was like rubbing against the laptop with his head. So anyways, just to keep the mystique and the aura alive and relevant. Don't have any wrestling matches until at least SummerSlam. And I have faith in it, because we're in this Paul Levesque era right now, and I think with him being there, and I want to say, I don't know if it's, I haven't heard anything, but the guy that did Bray's costumes and stuff like that, did the costumes for all of them for the Wyatt Sicks. I wonder if he's going to be on Raw or SmackDown or whatever, and have some kind of creative control or like a producer kind of role, saying, all right, I'm big into horror. This is what we can do to make it more legit, and not when Vince was around and made Bray Wyatt look like a complete idiot when it came to his wrestling matches.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Fair enough. Mike, go ahead on this. Would you rather see, since you don't want to see Rock and Roman, would you rather see Uncle Howdy and Roman?
No.
Go ahead. Okay.
Not at all. I think this is where as far as the wrestling goes, I think this is where we tie in the Strowman's LA Knight, maybe to try to get him back somewhat in the mix to see who they're feuding with. I did like the return of it. I wish they would have just stuck to the theatrics of it, simply because, I mean, unless Gable's out 3-4 weeks and you're going to try to sell it, with all the blood on the wall, I mean, that looked like there was death there. And wrestling is entertainment. I'm well aware of that, but you got to have some believability to it. I mean, they essentially killed Chad Gable, and I think he's in a triple threat match for Money in the Bank tomorrow, right?
They took him out of it.
No, he's back in.
So, I mean, if they sell it for a few weeks where he's out, I just wish they would have done the entrances, the slow burn like Bray did when he returned the lights out, and then have her come out, and then all of a sudden they, maybe shoot the QR code up one more time and then another one. I don't think they had to show the quote unquote murder and mayhem in the back, because everybody knows that's not. I mean, that kind of sort of much better, but almost like when the Hardys were teleporting. I mean, how do you get behind a storyline like that when it's like, okay, this is obvious bullshit?
Yeah.
That was at least when AEW was trying.
Fair enough. But
okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, very noted. All right, over to you, Aaron. And I know we got some Psycho Jet Blacks in there. So.
Oh yeah, we do. We have a few super chats. I'll get to those in just a second. I think supernatural gimmicks can definitely work, and obviously the Wyatt family has been very popular over the years. It's all about the follow-up, as we mentioned. The follow-up needs to keep us invested. That was a great start, but I think the concerns are very, very valid, and I'm hopeful that the Wyatt Sicks will be very successful in WWE, and all of them will be elevated because of this. But yeah, some people might look at it as, well, they're just paying tribute to Bray Wyatt, and it's rehashing what we've already seen. But maybe they'll be able to do some great stuff with this. There's a lot of creative people. Bray was extremely creative, but all these people involved, they have their creative minds as well. So we'll see what happens. And we do have some super chats here. Shanti is cooler than you. Says, who will play the evil Vince puppet? The Vince puppet, I think, is like Riff Aronson. You're never going to see that puppet ever again on WWE television. But keep dreaming. Maybe one day they'll throw it out there, but it's unlikely to happen unless that Vince McMahon lawsuit is resolved in Vince's favor. That's the only way I could see that puppet legitimately ever making an appearance. But you never know. Maybe 20 years from now, it'll be in the background in some segment. It'll be a little callback, long after all the heat died down surrounding Vince. Never say never, right? Maybe it'll show up.
See, Aaron, what I like with a group like this, though, is it gives wrestlers something to do, a job, gets them on TV. It's good for them.
Yeah.
And not, we don't want, not in a retribution way, like where it's just god awful. But at least there's some intrigue right out of the get-go with this. But it brings people back, like Dexter Lumis. It gives Eric Rowan. It gives them the opportunity again to make a better living for themselves because they're getting paid more when they're on WWE TV.
Yep. Yeah, I'm happy for those guys. Eric Rowan back in the mix. He seems like a great guy, and this is a new opportunity for him. I hope they don't do the gimmick matches with the sponsors, like a Cinnamon Toast Crunch match, as Psycho Jet Black pointed out. I know the money's tempting, but let's use that for other matches. And
that was my point. It'll ruin it.
The other thing is too, they got to avoid the lighting that they were doing during the Fiends matches, like with that red lighting. Don't do that. Let it be kind of like 2013, 2014 Wyatt family, where you have that mix of the supernatural stuff, but let them go out there, just wrestle. But yeah, they definitely have to win. Don't book them like prelim guys. Like they gotta come in right out of the gate as real credible forces to everybody in WWE. And I think that's probably where they're gonna go, but you never know. I want to have more confidence in the Triple H regime, but it's hard to say how this is all going to play out. Psycho Jet Black. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Wouldn't you say though? You say win matches now, but wouldn't you say that would be like upper mid card though? I don't think you can bring the Wyatt Sicks into like a Cody Bloodline deal right off the shoot anyway. I mean that would be way down the line. That's why I mentioned like the LA Knights or maybe they go after
Final Testament. Have them beat the shit out of Final Testament.
Yeah, that works. So yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I mean, and then obviously they would destroy them.
Yeah, because the Final Testament means nothing to me at this point. So let those guys be fed to the Wyatt Sicks first.
They're probably going to be involved in war games since there's 6 of them or 5 of them.
Well, not necessarily if it's going to be the Bloodline in war games. It should be Bloodline versus Bloodline. Is that Joker?
True. Yeah.
Joker's making a cameo. So Psycho Jet Black had sent in this super chat. Who would be in the first Trojan condoms match? And as we answer that question, we'll get a shot of Big G's cat, Joker, in
Not
the
Nick
house.
Cannon.
Who's Nick Cannon?
He's a comedian, but he's got like 11 kids.
Oh my god!
Wait a minute, I thought that guy was one of the Backstreet Boys or something.
Oh my god, Aaron!
He's a comedian and an actor.
You went
He's
there.
got a bunch of kids. Like every year, somebody's pregnant by him.
So doesn't the wide receiver on the Dolphins, Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
I could have sworn Nick Cannon was a Backstreet Boy, but
No.
whatever.
Nick Carter.
You're thinking of Nick
Oh,
Carter.
Nick Carter. Okay. Carter, Cannon,
Anyway, let's
whatever.
stop talking about those guys.
Okay. Jerry Manley sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Jerry. I appreciate it. It says, Bo Dallas needs to reveal himself and channel the trauma of his brother's death into the gimmick. Balance sadness and anger. It would be awesome.
Yeah, I want to see the real people. You know how Bray, when he returned, we kind of saw what could have been like a real emotion Bray promo, and they never really went anywhere with that. That's what I wish they would. They could still be creepy and mind games, but then have them have the real side, and then those are the ones that wrestle and can have regular matches too. That's maybe how they can get through this and not bury them. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see them possibly continuing that. I was really intrigued about Bray Wyatt at that point when he was coming out there. I hope they'll do more of that stuff with the Wyatt Sicks. I think that would be a solid idea to use Bray Wyatt to further their story and get people behind the characters. I just don't think they can be heels. I don't think people are going to boo them. So whoever they end up facing, I think it's got to be the bad guys on Raw and SmackDown that they go after. Although I do like the idea too of them just trying to take over everything and maybe being a shade of gray where, sometimes they
cheer. As long as it's not retribution.
Right.
Because isn't that what they tried to do? It was like
retribution was the worst. There's no way that this will bomb like that. I just don't see that happening. I could end up regretting what I just said, but hopefully not. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, do not make Uncle Howdy the new eater of pinfalls. Yes. If he starts losing matches to Karrion Kross, he's done. That'll be the end of him. But yeah. Hopefully they'll be booked strongly and we'll have some entertaining segments with these guys moving forward, and it will stay hot. It won't just be that one segment, but they'll keep the momentum going. So said my piece on that. Virtue, whenever you're ready, we can move on.
Main event. So it's funny we get to a point where when we talk about AEW, and I didn't think that they would keep struggling. I figure they plateaued at the bottom of where they were going to be, and their diehard fans were always going to be there, and it wouldn't get worse. And maybe, again, it could be an anomaly. Let's see what happens this week with ratings. But it's just a bad trend it seems like after Wembley, you think all that momentum last year, and they're going to do well again at Wembley this year, it seems like. But it's just been, over here in the States, it's been a struggle for them. And you got to, at some point, and Tony Khan, if he was a big fan of WCW back in the day, and the whole dynamic of the wrestling war back then, he should know he needs to do something to shake it up. The problem is he kind of being influenced by the EVPs, Young Bucks specifically, to not do certain things because they're afraid of their spots and their power and this and that. But Shane McMahon, if it's just a rumor, could you imagine? Could you just imagine if Tony Khan would have somebody, Brock Lesnar, just big names that you would always expect to only be tied to WWE? And I'm not talking the wrestlers, that Edge that moved over, or Rusev and stuff like that. I'm talking about power names, and Shane is one of them. And it's a rumor, but yet it's stirring up conversation. Tony Khan's got to see this and be like, I need to make something happen. Something needs, to make the internet talk, to get a buzz, to get people to tune in. Mike, what do you think here? I mean, we'll say Shane because that's where we're getting rumors right now, but it could be, Vince McMahon gets through all this stuff, doesn't go to jail, whatever. That's not going to happen. So that would be the biggest shock of all wrestling history. But Shane is a possibility because everybody knows he kind of left WWE. Right? Not clicking with the people there. And could that be a play for Tony Khan? I mean, something needs to happen for AEW. Go ahead, Mike.
Absolutely, 100% agree. I mean, that would be great. Personally, I don't see it happening because of what I've seen over the last 4 years. I think Tony likes to be involved. He thinks he's doing good. By all accounts, he's a great guy, but a horrible boss. And he's having fun doing what he dreamed of doing as a kid. and he's getting his dad's got an endless supply of money, so the money's not the issue. So I think if he was going to turn over control to anybody, it would have happened by now, because obviously you can see the results. I mean, AEW actually puts on a hell of a pay-per-view. I don't usually see him because I'm not paying the $59, $69, $75, whatever it is. I'm not going to pay to see it. But they are big events, but they're weekly programming. There's no storylines, and everybody has had to have seen that, including Tony. But I think Tony's like, hey, this is mine. I'm having a hell of a time. And hey, let's Aaron and Mike are going to fight next week, and then Aaron and Virtue are going to fight, and then Mike and then we'll have a battle royal 6-man extravaganza, and we'll put a belt on everybody. And this is so great because Virtue and Mike will have a great match. Well, there's no story behind it or anything, so nobody really cares. So the great match you have at your pay-per-view, when the skateboard Darby Allin jumped off a 500-story building, well, it lost a little bit of its luster because you saw it on Dynamite, Collision, and their Rampage the week before. So what difference does it make when he did it on the pay-per-view?
Now, Mike, let me ask you a question. Are you, no matter how good AEW could get and buzz they could bring into the company, you're priced out of $50. Like, you'd never pay, because we are so used to what we pay for WWE. You wouldn't even pay for, so that's the problem in itself.
Right, because
going to that amount, only the diehards are going to do that. They're never going to get casuals unless they find a way to get the WWE model. So no matter how good their show is, you still wouldn't buy a pay-per-view, because it's like, I pay one pay-per-view price more than I can watch WWE for a whole year and then some. And
not only that, you saw it on Dynamite last week. I mean, we shit on AEW all the time, and rightly so a lot of the times, but I would say the first 40, 45 minutes of last week's Dynamite was one of the best hours they've done on television, and nobody saw it. I mean, They could have built Roosh and MJF to a pay-per-view type event, and they put it first on Wednesday Night Dynamite, which nobody saw.
That's how they do it. They didn't build up a feud, like they built up a match. They built up a match to open a show instead of building up this feud, making me care about why MJF should take this guy out.
Right.
That's a good point, Mike. Are you good, though? You said your piece?
Yep.
Okay. All right, Big G, over to you. McMahon and AEW. Man, that would be huge for Tony Khan. And Shane, remember, Shane is that guy that left WWE. Shane was actually one of the first people for WWE that started reaching them globally with TV stuff. Something he did with Mexico City, and then he left the company to go do his own thing, right? Fail or not.
Yeah.
And I know he came back. Shane is that guy that said, I want to be my own man outside of wrestling.
Right.
And he clearly attempted it. And, you could say he had moderate success or, whatever. But go ahead, Shane McMahon in AEW, especially the fact that he was the one that showed up when Vince bought WCW.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
So I know apparently he reached out to some AEW wrestlers. Honestly, I think he's going to be the wild card in the Owen tournament against Jeff Jarrett because of that history with Jeff Jarrett and Owen Hart and Shane McMahon being in there in the 1990s. But yeah, I'm gonna say something, and I think it's gonna be a shocker to you, Virtue, and I think it's a shocker to Aaron. But honestly, these 2 past weeks that I've watched TNA wrestling have me more intrigued than AEW has in the past month.
I mean, I'm not shocked.
It's
fine. You're trying to find your WWE alternate.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm still gonna watch. Yeah, I'm still watching AEW. I mean, I watched it on Thursday afternoon instead of Wednesday night because I was just like, I'm not really missing anything. And maybe it has the fact that Britt's not on there, but it's like just everything in general, and with the pay-per-views, me and my buddies, we split it 3 ways, so I'm technically not paying $50 by myself. So I'll still watch the AEW pay-per-views because they put on good pay-per-views. If Shane's in there in any capacity besides the wild card, like Mike said, I don't think it's going to do any good for AEW with Shane McMahon at this point. It's not going to do them any good. They've already shot themselves in the foot so many freaking times. Like, there's nothing that they can do unless Tony gives up control.
But like what would that do? A McMahon's name printed on the screen of an AEW show. Would that be like an FU to Vince? Yeah.
It'll create some buzz for a little bit, and then they'll be like, okay, Shane's here, but nothing has changed. Okay. Let's try something else. Okay, this didn't work. All right, let's try this. Let's try that. Like, I mean, what do they have to do? Like, trying to watch. I'm like, the only show I watch is Dynamite. I gave up on Collision. I gave up on Rampage. I don't watch any of that. What AEW? I don't know if it has to do with the ratings or not even like selling out the buildings, but have them go to smaller venues like TNA does to make it more lively. But anyways, going back, like I said, Shane McMahon being there, if he goes there, great. If not, nothing's going to change in AEW at this point.
And what would happen? Like, you can't use the "Here Comes the Money" because that's WWE song.
No.
That would kind of mess up with Mercedes Moné, but
yeah,
it would be interesting. I'm telling you, it would take something like McMahon or Lesnar or Cena or Batista. Goldberg, just because you'd have to tune in to see what the heck is going to happen. Like that's what they miss. I mean, I know they brought people, and that's the thing, they brought people over, but everybody they brought over, it's been mishandled, or they've gotten hurt, and like Edge, and the hype is there initially, and then it dies off because it all comes back around to wrestling matches and the records and the way that people get title shots, and what's that stupid thing they do when a champion wrestles another guy, but the title's not on the line, like an
eliminator match.
What the hell?
That's so stupid. That's so stupid.
Right, go ahead.
They
Walter.
just finally let a challenger win one of those. Finally.
Yeah, they claim.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Walter.
Yeah, I don't know what you do. Like, if all else has failed, why the hell not let Shane? It's a good idea. Shane is Triple H's brother-in-law, so if you don't think he gets a hold of this company and gets that control, if he won't do what TNA is doing and work with WWE, you got another thing coming, because that might be a connection there, and they might work together. That might be the ultimate plan, to be like taking it over within the company. The way you conquer your enemy is infiltrate them within. So if they let Shane in, you might as well do it, because I don't know what the hell else you can do at this point. Because what Tony's doing ain't working. Like, with me, you were talking about Collision, Big G. With me, Collision was created for a guy you fired and let go. Once Punk was gone, I'd never watched Collision again. Maybe that one live one that Aaron did the recap, I watched it because it was live. Like, other than that, I don't think I've watched Collision since Punk left. Like, so I don't know what else you can do. Like, you have nothing else to lose. You already lost 400,000 viewers. Just go for it. Let Shane do it, and maybe go for an invasion angle against WWE. You got to do something. It's 2024. We've seen some crazy stuff. We see TNA working with WWE. Why not AEW? Why not the whole conglomerate wrestling industry?
They work. AEW works with New Japan. That's
right.
Going to happen very soon.
Yeah, the not so forbidden door pay-per-view, because everybody's AEW contracted, so it doesn't even make sense to call it Forbidden Door. So I don't know what to do, Rich. Like, you got to do something, because the business classes he's taking is woohoo.
And his dad, it's a tax write-off to his dad. I mean, his dad bought a football team and a soccer team. Sorry, that's football, right? To the other part of the world. That just shows you how wealthy. That just shows you how wealthy Shot is for making his plastic dashboards and bumpers on cars, which are probably in my brand new car that I just bought. And so he can tell Tony, "Here you go, have fun, my child." And that's what's happening.
It's the spoiled
that was one
syndrome.
of the most dude, when he showed up with the concerned look on his face when Tony Khan got beat up, and we got no more Shot after that. Like that, I was like, "Oh man, this is gonna get cool." But I like him better than his son. All right, go ahead, Aaron.
All right, we do have some super chats. Psycho Jet Black has a few here. Psycho Jet Black says Shane McMahon buys AEW Dynamite just like Donald Trump buying Monday Night Raw. That's an interesting idea. Like, that would be one way to do it. I wanted to say this. Big G had brought up, even if Shane shows up, like, it might not necessarily change anything. And he's right. I think Shane McMahon showing up would be a huge jaw-dropping moment, and I think that's something AEW desperately needs at this point. But then what? What do you do from there? Like, how do you keep it interesting? And that's where I go back to they need some new creative minds in AEW. AEW needs a creative overhaul, and it needs to be somebody who can come up with ideas every week that keeps people on the edge of their seats. And somebody who can come up with an idea and then keep going with it so it stays hot. That's the issue. You can bring in Shane McMahon, but if you don't know what to do with the guy, then it'll get stale like everything else. So
that's what I said. The AEW has that guy. It's Tony Khan, or at least he thinks his ideas are great. Because if he realized they weren't, he would already have a Shane McMahon or somebody there helping. Hell, he talked to Jim Cornette 5 years ago, but Jim Cornette kind of, or Jim Cornette says he saw where Tony was going, didn't want any part of it. But
yeah,
so I think Tony thinks he's doing well.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the problem. And he's being
Exactly.
influenced probably by certain wrestlers that have certain titles so they can stay in that slot. And they think what they're putting out there is getting over, and it's not. I mean, it is with those fans of their fans, but that's become very niche.
He's got to do something, because if he loses this TV deal, it's downhill for AEW. Like,
I don't think he is. I think they'll be just fine. But will AEW grow beyond a distant number 2? Probably not, unless they're willing to make some changes. But maybe Tony Khan is happy, as mentioned earlier, just living out his childhood dream of running a wrestling company and booking matches that the PWG fans and the Ring of Honor fans want to see.
Yeah.
All right, we got some more super chats here, so let's get to those. Psycho Jet Black says, "Hey, Mr. Peters, do you believe in Rock versus Roman?"
It's going to happen. I said
He
that.
just doesn't want it.
And the reason being is like, hey, Buddy Ryan and Mike Ditka were better together. They were the part of the best single-season football team in the history, as evidenced by my Chicago Bear sticker over that shoulder. But apart, they flopped. Rock and Roman together leading up to WrestleMania 40 was arguably, if not the best wrestling we have seen, maybe since the Attitude Era. Storyline and everything. They couldn't have begged or wished or prayed for anything better January 1 to WrestleMania 40. And I think that match breaks. It would be like cheering for your parents to get a divorce after 30 years, saying, hey, Mom and Dad, you had a good run. Why don't you get a divorce and see how it goes from here? That's the reason I don't want to see Rock versus Roman. I know it's going to happen. And yes, I'll watch it. And I'll be right in Roman's corner because I got to have my 10. Was it 10 or 20 that we bet? Whatever. I got to keep the belt off the Rock. So I know it's going to happen.
You got to hope that Rock doesn't get a shot against Cody. That's the big. If that doesn't happen, you got a good shot of winning that. Yeah.
All right, we got some more here. Thank you for that, Mike. Mike, I got to put you on the spot here. So Psycho Jet Black sent in this question about us having an exploding barbed wire death match. Is there a dollar amount where you would actually go through with that and fight me in a barbed wire death match?
Do it for
Can you do a cinematic? Are you filming a cinematic?
$50,000. Somebody gave us $50,000 and said, you guys have to do an exploding barbed wire death match. Would you do it?
I'm in.
All right. Well, there you go. $50,000.
I do a lot less than that, but for
a
50
piece,
grand,
right? Or do you got to split it?
No, I think it's 50 to the winner, isn't it?
Oh, the winner.
50 to the winner. Okay, I see where you're going. All right.
So it's real now.
It's going to be a shoot,
it's real.
brother.
It's not booked.
All right. Well, there you go. Somebody wants to put out the money, then maybe we'll do it. Does it have to be to the death, though?
No. Hell, Chad Gable was killed, but he'll wrestle again.
Hey, maybe we can even get one of the guys here to be the special guest referee for that.
We'll get Greg for it. He did so well at Virtue's wedding. Between
There
you
you go.
Virtue.
Oh, don't start with that. You son of a bitch. All right. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, what if Shane McMahon joins TNA as the new general manager? No. He should not be going to TNA. That's a waste of time. TNA is a waste of time. If he's going to do anything, which, by the way, I don't think he is. I think it's highly unlikely in all likelihood. If Shane does anything again, it'll probably be with WWE. Hell, I wonder if he even said what he said just to maybe try to get a deal to come back on WWE television. Like, I really don't see Shane leaving WWE. But then again, we never thought Adam Copeland would leave and several other guys.
He's going to come out on Dynamite, go to shake Tony Khan's hand and tear his quads in the ring again. Like
I said last night, he's going to tear both of his quads.
Why? Poor Shane. He cannot let that be. Well, and that's the thing, too. We got to take this into consideration for either side of the coin, WWE or AEW. He does not want that to be the last time we remember him on TV. He's got to come back, even in a non-physical role, just to have like some cool promos or like that he's in charge of something. He does not want that to be what everybody remembers him by.
Yeah, I agree on that for sure.
Tearing his quad against the Miz.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be the last we see of Shane. The Game is on 100 sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Says AEW complaining about not having the Big Bang Theory lead-in just shows AEW needs Sheldon Lee Cooper to help their ratings. They need storyline, period.
Oh my God.
They had no excuse this week. They didn't have the
what
NBA
led
playoffs.
into Dynamite that last week? What
Black
was it?
Panther. Black Panther.
So a movie and a lot of people. Yeah, those movies usually only get like a few 100,000 because most people see the movies already, and it's hard to or own the DVD or own it digitally. So, man.
Yeah. There's always an excuse when you need one, though. Everybody spins the numbers. That's why every week when these numbers come out, people argue about them, and I really don't see the point. Like, anybody can spin the number however they want. But it's
spinning. AEW is showing a decline. If you look at their graph, that's the concern. So, granted, you don't have to study them every week like Meltzer, but if you just look at a graph and you see that line, that's where it becomes a concern.
But the counter argument would be that TV in general is declining, and they're still like number 3 on cable television out of hundreds of shows. So
yeah, but not last week. They were like 17. It was like real.
I thought they were number 3. I thought I read that they were number 3.
I don't know. I saw something that maybe it was either the demo or the overall viewer. Something was like way down on that 500,000.
They're not even the third best wrestling company in North
But
America
either way,
right now.
Either way, you're talking about third or fourth. Like, remember back in the Attitude Era, Raw and SmackDown, or Raw and Nitro were 1 and 2 among all cable, and then the question is who was number 1 over the other one.
Yeah.
All right, we got some more super chats here. Casa D18 Studio says, hey, Aaron, ask Big G who he wants to win the Owen. Big G, who do you want to see win the Owen?
Well, after watching that uncut promo or his thing about Owen Hart, I want Jeff Jarrett to win that thing.
No shit.
I want him to win the whole thing.
And what is getting pulled back?
Wow.
I said that. Jeff Jarrett needs to win for the memory of Owen and then give up the title match. Like, just get the trophy and the belt that comes with it, and then say, I just did this for the memory of Owen, and give up his actual title shot at Wembley. They can do some kind of match, and whoever wins it actually gets that title shot, because Jarrett doesn't need the title shot. He just needs to win this, because it's 25 years ago that what happened to Owen. So for the memory of Owen, they can right the wrong that WWE did, because JJ says it all the time. They had the chance to turn him into a major babyface after Owen passed, and they didn't do it.
Yeah, so Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, hey, Big German, do you believe in Jeff Jarrett?
For the time being, for the Owen Hart tournament, yes.
Wow. that is a epic moment here on the NoDQ review that Big G has turned the corner.
That picture spoke 1,000 words. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, Lord.
They're going to resurrect that picture for you admitting this now.
Yeah, I know.
Nah, I'm not gonna go that far here. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Says, "Hey Aaron, ask Big German if he likes 3 from Hell. Big German, do you like 3 from Hell?"
Yes, I have all 3 of those movies from Rob Zombie.
All right, fair enough. And Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Says, "Better wrestling name Joe Henry. I think he meant Hendry, or Dolph Ziggler."
Dolph Ziggler.
Ziggler, yeah.
Yeah, Ziggler, no questions. I mean, Dolph Ziggler is kind of a cool name. I like it. But anyways, guys, we're caught up. And Shane McMahon, AEW, never say never, but I would certainly not bet money on it. I don't think he's going there. I would love to see it, though. Like, I want my jaw to drop while watching Dynamite. And they got to do more than just bringing in guys that used to work for WWE. Like, it's good for one night, but they got to have the follow-up. You know, just like with the Wyatt Sicks, that you got to have the follow-up. Like the first night in, yeah, you can debut somebody well, but you have to have a game plan for them, and you have to keep it interesting. The key is to have the guys that you're using and making the most out of them and making them superstars and giving fans reasons to keep tuning in every week and keep them guessing as to what's going to happen next.
All right, well, thanks, everybody, for that. Let's go around to our final word and get out of here. Mike.
Thanks again for having me. It was a
Absolutely.
joy and pleasure as always.
Yep,
And
I didn't forget
when
about
Rock
you.
and Roman happens, you and I will have to watch it together, Virtue. And you'll have to make me watch it with you. I'll constantly get your drinks or whatever during the match.
Dude, you know, I want the match for one reason. I want Roman to beat him and be the true all-time head of that family, head of the bloodline. That's why I want it. I want them to book it that way. So, but thank you for being on.
Rock's got to grab the mic and admit that Roman's the head of the table after. You got to say it in front of everybody.
Well, he did already, but that was probably a. All right, go ahead, Big G.
Yes. Big Baller G, 1988 on TikTok, NoDQ_Baller on Twitter, X, whatever the hell you want to call it nowadays, and on Insta, NoDQ_Big Baller G, 1988.
All right. Thanks for being on as always. Go ahead, Walt.
You got the graphic there. There we go. So at X, follow me at Walter Alex Cruz, and then Calfire Farms is the Instagram. At Rage of Wrestling is the YouTube channel, and turning this Saturday, me and James are gonna do the UFC 303 watch along. So it's 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. I almost said specific. So, but other than that, thanks for always having me on here.
No problem. Am I still on here, by the way? Can you guys still see me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. My computer screen went blank, but as long as you can see me. Go ahead, Aaron.
Just stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. Thank you always for tuning in and supporting the site and the channel. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Says, "Mr. Peters versus Mr. German in a TurboTax match." Where does he come up with this stuff? But thank you, Psycho Jet Black.
I'd have to get the stipulations on the TurboTax match. I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, no.
Loser doesn't go to jail after being prosecuted by the RRS, I guess.
Does the winner's taxes? Like, what the hell is that?
Anyways, Virtue, you have frozen, but you're always giving us the hot takes, so go ahead and close us out.
Well, you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear
All
you.
right, that's all that matters because it's the end of the show. Go to NoDQ.com/merch. Check me out over on X.com. Or is that what it is now? Yeah, it's not Twitter anymore. It's X.com at NoDQ_Virtue. For Mike, for Walter, for Big G, for Aaron, and the whole NoDQ crew and galaxy. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next time.